Okay, hello. So we are going to have a look in this video at the understanding type questions in the National 5 close reading paper. So I'm going to explain how they work and just show you a quick example of how you go about answering those. So the understanding questions are the ones that are there asking you basically to show that you can read. So that you can read a paragraph, you can understand the 3 or 4 main bits of information, and then you can summarize them for the marker. So can you read? Can you understand? You'll be looking for words like, summarize or identify. They're the kind of things that you're going to be asked to do. But what you'll see in the questions is this phrase, use your own words, or some kind of variant of that. Which means that in understanding questions, there shouldn't be any quotations at all. Everything needs to be in your own words. That even includes, when you're trying to explain a particular point from a paragraph in the question. Sometimes people lose marks because they just lift words from the paragraph and put it into their answer. So even though they're not writing it down as an entire quotation, they have effectively, quoted a key individual word somewhere, and that'll cost them the marks because it isn't demonstrating that they fully understand it and can turn it into their own words. In the understanding questions, it's 1 mark per answer, basically. So if you get a 3-mark question, then there are 3 answers that you're looking for, and you'll get a mark for each correct one that you put down. So let's have a look at an example. This is from the 2019, it must be, National 5 close reading paper. And question 3 is an in your own words question. It's therefore an understanding question. You're being asked to summarise the development of McDonald's restaurants in the 80s. So this is a question asking you, something changed. What was it? There are 4 marks available, although you can't see the number 4 because my face is in the way. But it says you should make 4 key points in your answer. So I'm not going to read out the paragraphs to you or anything. You can pause the video and read them yourself. But 4 key points about how McDonald's developed in Britain in the 80s. What's that going to look like? It's going to look like this. So the 4 points that I would go for are these ones here. Early on, there weren't very many of them. Company decided to let people start opening their own. They introduced some new stuff, and going to McDonald's became more about an event than just we need something to eat. The thing people struggle with these questions is, looking at the bit of the paragraph or the paragraph they've been directed to and figuring out where the answers are coming from. But to be honest, what you're usually looking to do is just, it says close reading for a reason. Read the paragraph very carefully and look sentence by sentence, because especially in like a 4-mark understanding question, that's probably going to get you pretty close to the answer. So if I show you where I got my 4 answers from here, just using these lines, this should help you to understand what I've done to get the answers. So I've got the first answer from the very first sentence, and then after that, the different points that I'm making are from subsequent sentences in that paragraph. And there were other options that I could have put in there. I mean, there's something like 7 or 8 different possibilities for this question, but you're only needing 4. So I've put in those 4. Like everything else in close reading, you just need to do a lot of practice for this to really get used to it and to get good at it. But hopefully this shows you not just the kind of questions that you can expect and the kind of language you might see in them, but the sort of approach we'd be looking for answering them. And as you can see, I've just used 4 bullet points. That's what I would like to see everyone else doing as well when they're putting in the answers. The answers to close reading don't need to be in paragraphs, and for most people, trying to write them in paragraphs just gets in the way. You can write them as bullet points, and if you do it that way, it's a bullet point per mark, which makes it much, much easier for you to keep track of whether or not you're doing enough to be picking up the marks as you go through the questions. If you write it as a paragraph, it's kind of hard to track, whereas if you just do it as bullet points, for every mark, there should be a bullet point there, and it makes it easy for you to check up on later on. Okay, so obviously, as I say, you need lots of practice, and we'll do lots of that throughout the year, but hopefully this example, if you keep going back to it, will at least get you started on how to approach understanding questions and how you might go about laying out your answer for them.